Viola Spaces number 4 is called 9 fingers and is concerned with a technique called pizzicato, which is playing without the bow and plucking the strings, which is what we used to do in the centuries that these instruments were being played before the bow came. They were all being played like this, and some guitarists have some very fancy techniques which we can learn from, and people can get a lot out of playing with just your hands. It's a very symmetrical thing, the two hands are doing the same thing, both playing the string. And it's very good for your finger articulation and for directing energy only to the place you need it. So you want the finger there. No sort of extraneous movements. Really pointing to what you're doing and then doing it. And there are two little exercises we can do before we start playing the piece itself. First is to learn this 2-finger technique. You notice in the piece there are some fingerings for the right hand. That's what those little circles are about. It's usually 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Because quite simply, pizzicating with 2 fingers is twice as fast as with 1 finger. Yeah? Believe me, it's true. You may think it's more difficult, but then when you look at the things your left hand can do, and this is your left hand, all the fingers can play very fast. There's no reason here why we can't do the same thing. So first exercise would be this, to get used to the idea of like walking, 1 foot then the other foot, because then it allows you to play these tremolo-like things and do very fast runs. Very useful technique. The other preparatory exercise is to play like guitarists do. The left hand can speak for itself, for example. You can hammer on a note. So for one action of the right hand, you get 2 notes. And you can do the opposite, it can pull off. When I say pull off, I mean you have to pull slightly to the side. So you pull it off to the side, you get it. And with those combined, you can of course play much faster than simple pizzicato. You actually have 10 fingers to play with. I call it 9 fingers because it's a nice title. I thought of using this finger, but in the end I decided not to, just to keep the 9-finger ideas. A couple of things in the piece, just to clear things up. There's a bit near the beginning where there's a kind of guitar-like style flamenco. I like to think of this as like you had a bow in your hand, and you're doing down bows. And the upward one is a passive thing. So you don't really try and do it, you just let it drag over the strings. And of course flamenco, they have a guy, Zapatero, who's doing the feet part to that, and that's in the piece too. And there's a little tapping with this bone of the finger on the bridge. But at the same time, to get a little pitch, you hold the notes down and you strike the string and the bridge. So that's a little trick that might not be clear. There are some arpeggios for the thumb, which seem tricky at first. Best way to learn this is to keep the thumb still and bring the viola to it, like this. And when you get the hang of that, the feel of it, then you can try traveling down the string if that helps. That kind of thing. And when there are repeated notes, you can use any finger you like. This kind of thing without thinking too much. Because that with 1 finger is not really possible. So you get the idea of sharing the notes between your fingers and passing it around. And the thumb also does. And because it's a bass note, you can get a nice fleshy bass note with the thumb. And the very end of the piece needs a little explaining. Well, my idea was I wanted to show a lot of fingers doing together, but it's hard. They're both on this side of the viola. It'd be nice to have one around here. So my idea at the end was to slip the little finger under the end peg like this, which means you can hold the viola very easily, and then the 2 hands can play together. So when you get to the end, the idea is now this little flip, and here we are. And now we can do a psychoacoustic crescendo, because you see more, you hear more. Then a spread in opposite directions.